About to nod off into sleep, I heard hurried footsteps outside of the larger room's double doors. I float over just in time to see a strange form slide one of the two doors open. The strange figure was humanoid in form. However, they were not made of flesh and blood, but rather steel and wire. The robot was quite slim, enough so that I could probably have grabbed its torso at its thinnest point with both hands, and my fingers would have touched. If I still had my body, that is. The robot was painted a shade of aqua blue and had some sort of symbol, that being a circle, which had been slashed in half down the middle of it. Then, I hear a yell originating from outside the factory, which seems to cause the blue robot to slam the doors shut and run behind one of the many pushed-over desks at a far corner facing opposite the door. Not long after the blue robot gets into place, another robot bursts through the door and begins scanning the room, presumably for the blue robot. The newly arrived robot seemed to be of similar make to the first. However, they were significantly more bulky, with hulking arms and legs and a sizable torso. This robot also had the same symbol. However, they were colored red with a few small dashes of purple mixed in. The red robot also possessed a large club, which they were occasionally thumping in their hand. The blue robot seemed to be afraid of the red one, as they looked to be quivering with fear now that the red robot had entered the room. To be entirely fair, if a person nearly double my size was chasing me down with a club, I would be afraid as well. The red robot seemed to have finished scanning the room and shouted out, "Come out already, GW3N. I know you're here. There's no point in delaying this any longer, but if you insist, I will find you eventually." This only seemed to make the blue robot quiver even more. Then the red robot started to move about the room, methodically checking each and every possible hiding spot in the room. Slowly but steadily, the robot approached the desk, which the blue robot, whose name I guess is GW3N, was hiding behind. The red robot got within 3 feet of GW3N before one of my spider drones decided to approach the robot, whom I am going to call Red from now on. I know, I am an absolute genius on creativity. Then Red yelled, "Get out of my damn way, you stupid drone!" as they kick my poor spider, which makes it go flying into the far wall, where my other spiders scuttled over to see what was causing all the noise, and to help the kicked one back onto its feet. I don't know who Red thinks they are or why they're after GW3N, but I will not tolerate them attacking one of my little friends for no reason. I mentally seethe in anger, which my other spiders seemed to agree with, as all 8 of them gathered up and charged at Red, who had turned their back to them as they went back to searching for GW3N. My spiders quickly take advantage of Red's carelessness and begin chomping at their exposed and slightly less armored back. In fact, one of my spiders began grabbing onto Red's arms and legs, which caused much disbalance. "Get off of me, you damned beasts!" Red bellows in frustration as they grab onto one of my drones with a free hand and, using their club, slams the poor drone into the wall, which left a large cave in its torso, leaving the spider crippled. In response to one of their brothers getting whacked into a wall with a club, the remaining 7 spiders began to chomp even more vigorously at Red's armor or trying to force Red to drop their club. Most of their chomps did nearly nothing to Red's bulky plating, and none were able to make Red drop their club. But enough went through to force them to not spare a glance as GW3N got up from her hiding space, upon noticing that her chaser was getting mauled by more than a half-dozen spiders. The robot quickly assessed the situation and decided to take advantage of the distraction my spiders were making and swiftly body-checked Red to the ground, which must have hurt for both sides. GW3N was the first to get back up, as Red was still forced to deal with my spiders' constant chomps. This allowed for GW3N to saddle up to Red before they slammed their foot into Red's stomach, more than what was likely necessary in order to prove a point. Not quite ready to kill something that could talk, I order my spider drones to stop attacking and to simply restrain the robot, which they begrudgingly do so. Crawling off the main chassis of Red, my spiders begin splitting off in pairs to hold down the thing's legs and arms while GW3N walks over, GW3N seems to deliberate for a few moments before sighing and muttering under their breath, "It's not worth it," before yelling, "Leave and don't come back," which Red responds by hastily getting up and sprinting out of the room while my spiders jumped off them. GW3N seems to visibly relax once Red leaves visual range, but then remembers that they are nearly surrounded by my spiders, who were, not a few moments before, gnawing on Red's metal plates. This, however, did not seem to perturb GW3N as they squatted down to my spiders, who were now nursing their wounds. "Thanks for the help, little guys. Maker knows what would have happened if you didn't show up." Then, notice the drone who was crippled by Red. They apologize with a "sorry about your friend." Speaking of the crippled spider, I see that a couple of my less damaged drones had walked over to them and were now using some of the materials left over from their initial construction to replace the dented plates and internal machinery. This left an icon floating above the drone, which stated that they were being repaired, and it would take another 10 minutes until they would be functional again. Well, it is good to know that you guys can repair each other if they get damaged. I sent over a few more spiders to aid in the repairs before floating back over to the drone works and ordering up a couple more spiders. This, however, led to an alert popping up in front of me, stating that I was nearing maximum drone administrative capacity and that I needed to construct a core in order to facilitate more drones. A core, you say? Now, how would I construct such a thing? And as if hearing my question, a notification rears in front of me, stating that I did not possess a blueprint for a core, and thus would either need to find said blueprint or to discover an already built core which I could take over. Before I could ponder this further, GW3N got the attention of one of my spiders, who was wandering about. "Hey, do you guys mind me staying here? If it's not a problem, that is."